Good afternoon. I'm David Talbot, Managing Director and Head of Research here at Red Cloud Securities, and we extend thanks to Pear Tree for sponsoring this session. Tim Gabruch, President and CEO, is here to discuss ISOEnergy for us today. ISO is expanding its high-grade hurricane uranium discovery in the Athabasca Basin. Tim, you have about 10 minutes to speak, and then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session at the end. So attendees, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A link. So take it away, Tim.
Great, thanks, Dave. Really appreciate Red Cloud, providing the invitation and Pear Tree sponsoring it, obviously. And yeah, I'll just get right into it and get into the ISOEnergy story. Disclaimer: obviously, there's some forward-looking statements in here, so just be aware. I only have 10 minutes, like you said, so I won't get into the market or anything. But for those that I know you guys are covering a lot of different commodities on this conference, so. I mean, it just worth saying that, ISOEnergy, no surprise, is very positive about what's happening in the market in uranium and in nuclear in general. I mean, it's really exciting times, not because, maybe just the price is going up and all these things, but the supply demand fundamentals, that's what we kind of look at. They really are starting to turn, and it's, obviously coming out of a 10-year kind of down super cycle, where everything's kind of pointing in the right direction. There's, not enough primary production to cover demand. Inventory supply, secondary supplies are starting to be limited, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. Whether it's juniors buying, material to hold, and certainly, the actions that are happening in the space with funds, with Sprott taking over Uranium Participation Corp. Yesterday's announcement of Kazatomprom supporting a new fund. These things are really changing the dynamics of the market, and when you add it on to climate change, nuclear kind of getting its space now in that climate change discussion in a positive way, and even being seen as a positive ESG story, it's really looks to be exciting times ahead. Getting into ISOEnergy, Dave, and we appreciate the opportunity to tell the story a bit here. The company was founded back in 2016. And we were spun out of NextGen Energy, which, if you guys follow the uranium space, has obviously had a very successful run over the last decade with their Arrow project. But they spun out some properties, 5 properties in the eastern part of the basin when they were focused a little bit more on the western side, and they did it really at a difficult time in the uranium market. Really, what now looks to be pretty much the bottom of the cycle, but. In retrospect, it's really presented quite a great opportunity for ISOEnergy as a company. So, our focus is on the Athabasca Basin, again, on the eastern side, where all of the infrastructure and, energy infrastructure, roads, all that, and even milling infrastructure is. They put together a great team, which obviously had a great success finding our hurricane deposit, which I'll get into. And again, the timing was interesting and turned out to be great, because they took advantage of asset availability in the basin at a time when people were leaving the basin and there wasn't capital available, and we've been able to really grow a successful company to date. The original strategy really coming into it was, again, to focus on the eastern Athabasca Basin, to get some of these properties that already had mineralized intercepts but just hadn't been followed up on adequately post 2011 with Fukushima and just the sort of the downturn in the market. So they were able to get in there and pick up properties. We now have 24 high quality properties. Larocque East, which I'll talk about, is the home to the hurricane zone and really our flagship project. But we started with some other properties that we would consider flagships, whether it's Geiger or Collins Bay, and we continue to look down the road at really doing some work on these properties that we're very high on. So just with respect to the hurricane discovery, the deposit, this again is our flagship. If you look at the star on this map, that represents the hurricane deposit on our Larocque East property. This is one of the properties we picked up after the company was formed. We bought it in 2018 from Cameco. Had very quick success with the first drill hole at the end of a summer program in 2018. We found some mineralization, and since then, it's been, over the last couple of years, really been the focus of our work. And if you look at some of these drill results from 2020, We really had some incredible core with, our best being hole 76. You'll see there 7.5 meters at 40% almost, and 3.5 of that at almost 75% uranium. So really, incredible find. We've continued to do a lot of work, as Dave mentioned. We continue to look to expand it. This is just a quick photo of the core, the core of that hole 76, which just put it in here because you can obviously see the black is really pure pitch blende for the most part, and really on par with some of the best, core that you'll find with any world-class project in the basin. So again, just, incredible find, and it's something that we've been focusing on to find out sort of what the size and scope of that deposit is. Those best results that you saw there were from 2020. We did take a pause after the summer 2020 program. We didn't drill in the winter because of COVID and some of the impacts in northern Saskatchewan, but we're back up as of this summer. And so really our program for the summer is kind of a 4-tranche program. We went up in June and did some further ground geophysics on the Larocque's property, which is really a big piece of ground. So I'll have a slide on that in a minute. We went back to Geiger, which was the property we were focusing on before we picked up Larocque and found Hurricane. And really, we put 12 holes on there this summer. It was the first time we've done another property since the focus has been on Hurricane over the last 2 years. So it was good to get back to another one of our key projects. And we're still waiting on geochemistry results, but should have those out soon. And really just a successful drill program there prior to getting back to Larocque. September, we got back to Hurricane and also to some exploration drilling on the Larocque's project. We're doing 30 holes. We're kind of about 2/3 of the way through that right now. We'll be there till the end of October, and maybe even the first week of November. So a little bit later program, but we did put out 4 holes that people might have seen. We'll probably put out some other news, fairly shortly, just to kind of update on the drill program, and then obviously get news out as we get assays back from our lab. The other piece of that program that we did was some airborne geophysics on another property we have, Collins Bay Extension, over on the right-hand side here. Just a drawing of the hurricane zone, and a couple of things just to point out. Obviously, some of the high-grade zone in the middle there, the blue squares represent the holes that we reported on a few weeks ago. Some of them, a little bit of an outstep, but some of them, hole 78, for instance, looks to have some good results. We've, in very early days of drilling there, we did expand the size of it a bit by 1 meter in thickness to 12 meters, about another 11 meters in width. So we're now about 93 meters wide. There's a few strategic advantages of this deposit. One of them is that it's quite shallow in the basin. It is an unconformity hosted deposit, so it's sitting in the sandstone above the basement rock, but it's only about 325 meters, which in the basin is quite shallow compared to a lot of other projects. The other advantage it has is it's only 40 kilometers from Orano's McLean Lake, so, and there's no lake or water cover, which in that part of the world is quite good. You'll see this border here. That border is a border to the Dawn Lake project owned by Cameco and Orano. So we don't have access to that, but we're hopeful that there'll be work done on the other side of that in the not too distant future. Just another drawing of our depth compared to some of the world-class projects in the basin, Cigar Lake, MacArthur, Phoenix, that Denison's developing, so shallower than those projects. And the rock here, just one last slide on the rock. You see again, the star is Hurricane, but this zone, the red, there's a conductor that's probably about 15 kilometers of conductor out to the east. We've been doing exploration drilling on this summer, and this blue kind of shape here is the area that we did additional geophysics on. Drilling Geiger, again, completed earlier this summer. Did discover a new alteration zone we're excited about, and we'll look to get those assays out as soon as we get them. And Collins Bay Extension, this is the airborne geophysics. We like this project because it's really on trend, this conductor with past existing mines, Eagle Point and Collins Bay. So that's pretty exciting to have something that's, that's right on trend from past viable economic mines. Quickly, on the corporate side, we're in good shape. About 101 million shares outstanding. We got just about $15 million in the bank. By the end of the year, even after the expiration program, should be well in excess of 10 million. And haven't raised any money recently. Even if we don't, we're in good shape going forward for a winter program, but we'll continue to look at opportunities that make sense for ISO and for shareholders. I won't get into this too much other than say we've got a great technical team. Andy Carmichael's our VP of Exploration, tons of experience with the project since its inception. And we added a technical advisor, Dave Thomas, recently, 40 years of experience as a geologist in many metals, but primarily uranium, and really to have him on as an exclusive advisor on uranium to ISO is really, really advantageous to us. I'll just leave it there other than to say, we're supported by NextGen. NextGen is our 50% plus shareholder. Lee Currier, CEO of NextGen, is the chairman of ISO, and we benefit not just financially, but technically, just total support from NextGen, and the team and the other directors have a lot of experience on the NextGen side as well. So that's also, I would consider, a real strategic advantage. I won't go through this because I think we're almost out of time, but just to say, we do consider ourselves probably one of the very unique stories in the space, that we are one of the only high grade discoveries really globally over the last few years. And so really puts us in a unique spot as this market continues to turn. Dave, I think that's probably the end of my time there, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tim. I've been arm waving on this deposit for a couple of years now. I'd say, well, even a little bit more than arm waving, but I'd say 40 to 60 million pounds at 8%, obviously pre-resource, and all of that at the unconformity. Do you think there's any potential to host basement mineralization below this deposit as well?
We haven't been looking, directly, below this deposit for basement host. Obviously, that was one of our focuses going into, when the company got formed, is to look for basement hosting, because it's kind of been underexplored. I would say as we go, and we're doing lots of exploration up the conductor, like I mentioned, that is definitely a priority, is to be, focused on, is there basement hosted deposits? Because obviously, as you know, well, in uranium, there's a lot of successful, sandstone unconformity hosted deposits in uranium in the northern Saskatchewan, but they're tough. They're challenging to mine, and so yeah, we're continuing to look, at that model as something that we would love to find a basement hosted deposit.
Okay, and you are bound, the deposit's bound by the property boundary to the west. How far to the east have you tested along strike?
Yeah, we along strike about a kilometer, but we're going now further out, like not nothing related to this deposit, but to look and see if there's other lenses along that same corridor, along that same conductor. And so, we're several kilometers out doing, full-on exploration work. We've been out there this summer. We'll have drilled probably 14 holes out of the 30, just exploration out along that conductor. So that blue area that I showed, that we did some geophysics on, that area, obviously we're looking for new targets, for future drill programs. But just before that blue area, there was several kilometers of geophysics that's been done, and we've been drilling, several kilometers out.
Okay, and have you started planning your winter program yet?
Yeah, a little bit. We're in budget right now. We've got board meetings coming up. And yeah, we're waiting on, obviously we've had the results I even mentioned on Geiger, where we've had some interesting results coming out there. So we're just looking to get our geochemistry back. It's been delayed a little bit. I think I mentioned to you, our lab had a bit of got hacked a little bit. So they've done a lot of work, but we're just waiting to get those results back to us, and then we'll report them. And that will really form a lot of the basis for that program for the winter.
Even hackers want their results ASAP. So.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.